Little girl cried. "Please, don't hurt us." Then her millionaire father walked in. Before continue the story, please subscribe to Kindness Diaries USA. It was a golden afternoon in Ridgewood Estate, the kind of day when the sun painted the world with warmth and brilliance. Golden rays filtered to the tall arched windows of the Grand Grant Villa, spilling across polished marble floors that gleamed like mirrors. From the outside, it was a picture of serenity and success, a mansion surrounded by lush gardens, a fountain dancing at its heart, and the distant laughter of neighbors enjoying a quiet life in Brighton City's wealthiest suburb. But inside those glittering walls, no warmth could be felt. 6-year-old Amelia Grant sat on the cold kitchen floor, her small frame trembling as she clutched her baby brother, Ethan, tightly to her chest. The infant whimpered softly, sensing the tension that thickened the air like a storm about to break. His little hands reached up blindly, grasping for comfort in the only place he trusted, his sister's arms. Milk spread across the tiles, seeping into every groove. A glass bottle lay shattered, its jagged edges reflecting the afternoon light like shards of ice. Towering over them was Clara, their stepmother. Her face, beautiful in the eyes of society, twisted now into something cruel. "You useless child," she hissed, her voice sharp as a knife. "Do you know how much your father sacrifices to give you this life? And this is how you repay him? By spilling milk all over his floors." Amelia's lips quivered. She pressed Ethan closer to her, shielding him as best she could. Her little voice trembled in the heavy silence. "Please, Clara, don't hurt us." The words were barely louder than a whisper, but to Amelia they thundered in her own ears. She hated herself for begging, but what else could she do? The world outside carried on in peace, birds singing, the fountain splashing, cars humming down the boulevard. But inside the villa, terror ruled. And then it happened. The heavy oak front door opened, its sound echoing to the grand corridors. Clara froze. Amelia stiffened. And into the villa stepped Alexander Grant, a man whose presence commanded respect everywhere he went. He was 43, tall, broad-shouldered, the very image of success in his charcoal suit. In one hand, he carried a sleek leather briefcase. In the other, the weight of his empire. Across Brighton City, Alexander was admired as a self-made millionaire, a man who had built his business from scratch, known as much for philanthropy as for his sharp mind. To the public, he was a symbol of ambition fulfilled. But in that moment, he was simply a father coming home. He had expected the usual scene, Amelia running into his arms, Ethan cooing softly, Clara smiling politely. Instead, what he saw would remain carved into his heart forever. His daughter curled protectively around Ethan, tears streaking her cheeks. The spilled milk, the broken bottle, Clara's raised hand. For Alexander, time slowed. He didn't feel his briefcase slip from his hand. He didn't hear the dull thud as it hit the floor. All he saw was Amelia's terror. And something inside him broke. "Enough!" His voice boomed to the villa like thunder. The bottle slipped from Clara's grip, clattering onto the floor. Her practiced charm crumbled. She stammered, "Alexander, you don't understand." But Alexander wasn't listening. He rushed forward, dropping to his knees beside Amelia. His large hands trembled as he reached for her, his heart tearing apart at the sight of her tear-streaked face. "Sweetheart," he whispered, his voice shaking. "Amelia, it's okay. Daddy's here now." Amelia's small frame collapsed into his chest, her sobs shaking her tiny body. Ethan wailed too, as though finally releasing the fear he'd held in silence. Alexander gathered them both into his arms, holding them so tightly it felt as if he could shield them from every hurt in the world. When he looked up again, his eyes blazed, his jaw tightened. His voice was low, but every word carried the weight of fury. "Clara, get out." Her mouth fell open. "Alexander, please, you're overreacting. It was just... Get out." This time, his tone left no room for argument. Clara faltered, her mask slipping completely. She turned on her heel and stormed out, the echo of her heels fading into silence. Alexander pressed his lips to the top of Amelia's head. She clung to him desperately, her little hands gripping his suit as though she feared he might disappear. He cradled Ethan in the crook of his arm, rocking him gently until his cries softened. And in that moment, Alexander Grant realized the truth. All his wealth, all his success, all the boardrooms and contracts, none of it mattered. He had been blind. Blind to Amelia's fading smiles, blind to her long hugs at the door, blind to her silent tears when she thought no one was looking. He had thought he was giving her stability by marrying Clara. Instead, he had brought fear into her life. That night, everything changed. In the days that followed, Alexander did not think of business meetings or stock prices. His empire could wait. His children could not. Clara was gone from their lives, her cruelty exposed. Lawyers handled the rest. His only focus was Amelia and Ethan. He listened to Amelia's broken whispers at night, her voice trembling as she asked if Clara would come back. He wiped away her tears and promised her she would never be left alone in fear again. He cradled Ethan in his arms, vowing to shield him from every storm. The grand villa, once echoing with silence and hidden cries, began to change. Therapists were brought in, helping Amelia find her voice again. Gentle routines replaced fear. Bedtime stories, family dinners, long walks in the garden. Slowly, the mansion transformed from a cold monument of wealth into a true home of healing. But healing was not instant. There were nights when Amelia still woke up screaming, clutching Ethan tightly, convinced Clara would return. Alexander would rush to her room, sit by her bed, and hold her hand until she drifted back to sleep. There were days when she flinched at sudden movements, her little body bracing for punishment that never came. Each time, Alexander was there, patient, steady, unyielding. In the eyes of Brighton City, he remained a millionaire icon, but within Ridgewood Estate, he became something far greater, a father who fought for his children's peace. Months passed, seasons changed, and slowly, Amelia began to smile again. It started small, a shy giggle at one of Ethan's baby babbles, a faint laugh when Alexander pretended to trip over his shoelaces just to make her laugh. Then one afternoon, as she played in the garden, her laughter rang out pure and unrestrained. Alexander stood on the porch, tears filling his eyes as he watched his daughter run through the grass, Ethan's chubby hands clapping in delight from his stroller. The scars of the past would never fully disappear, but they became reminders not of weakness, but of survival. The Grants rebuilt their family not with fortune, not with luxury, but with trust, compassion, and the strength of second chances. On another golden afternoon, the sun poured once more through the tall windows of Ridgewood Estate. But this time, the warmth outside matched the warmth within. Alexander sat on the porch, watching Amelia chase butterflies while Ethan babbled happily nearby. The villa that had once been a house of silence now echoed with laughter. And as he leaned back, a quiet smile spreading across his face, Alexander knew the truth with absolute certainty. Money could build walls, but only love could build a family.